Bush and Gore doesn't always mean what first comes to mind. Football, two of the underperforming running backs in the NFL this year, Reggie Bush and Frank Gore. Footwear, the nun-Bush slip-on shoe has an elastic Gore, the technical term for a widener in the fabric. Australia, there's the Gore Cove Bushland Reserve. But our number one story in the countdown, nevertheless, none of those Bush-Gore combos is ever likely to supplant ours. Thus the fascination with an unlikely photo op reunion today in the Oval Office, no less. The occasion honoring the 5 American winners of the various Nobel Prizes. White House spokesman Tony Fratto confirming that Mr. Bush personally called Al Gore over a week ago to, quote, lock that in and make sure he's going to be able to come. Mr. Gore made it all right. The former presidential rivals met privately in the Oval Office prior to the Nobel winner's photo opportunity. When reporters caught up with Mr. Gore after the event, literally having to chase him out the side door, he said he talked about global warming with the president and only about global warming. But when asked about the 2008 campaign and if he missed the White House, Mr. Gore said, no comment. Let's bring in, for the first time on Countdown, comedian Patton Oswalt, whose new album is Werewolves and Lollipops. Nice to see you and not on a train.
Yeah, I know, exactly. That was such an odd meeting between us.
Yes, and I don't think the Amtrak service from Boston to New York has recovered yet. Back when it came out, no. Mr. Bush was asked if he would go to see the movie An Inconvenient Truth, Mr. Gore's movie, and he responded, doubt it. So now they've met alone in the Oval Office. They've talked about global warming. How do you think that went?
You know, it's so interesting that the original lineup of Van Halen is on tour right now. It feels like if Sammy Hagar had been forced to serve David Lee Roth a shot of tequila somewhere at an after party. It's sort of that same thing going on right now. Like, it feels like this is the original lineup of the presidency having to meet with the kind of weird second lineup, and it's just I don't know. I mean, maybe the awkwardness could power the White House for a little while. You know, be kind of green.
Or the envy could make somebody kind of green, and that could do it, too. This was originally scheduled, apparently, for Mr. Gore's convenience. They'd had another date for it, and Gore was supposed to be out of the country, apparently. And as we heard, the president called Al Gore to make sure he could make it. Doesn't that, I mean, it sounds a little desperate, doesn't it? Like a bad dating habit there or something? Somebody's afraid they're going to get stood up?
Yeah, it does. It does kind of make you feel like he had a lot of birthday parties where no one showed up. I can only hope that maybe Gore sent back his RSVP and just wrote "doubt it," which would have been a nice, you know, kind of full circle from when they asked Bush about if you're going to go see An Inconvenient Truth.
Or he could have just said, "You're living in my house." The former vice president tried to avoid the media afterwards. We saw him go out the side entrance of the White House, and then he steadfastly avoided answering any actual political questions. Of course, he has recovered, described himself as a recovering politician. Do you think he has recovered, or that meeting President Bush caused a relapse?
Oh, I hope that doesn't make him fall off the wagon. You know, the guy is teetering as it is. He's doing so much good right now. But, you know, I think it's a little mean for you and I to bring up relapse and recovery around our president. And maybe we should just move on for decorum's sake.
And moving on, another sign of this drag that the president has had on allies. The Australian Prime Minister, John Howard, was beaten by the Labour Party leader there, Kevin Rudd, over the weekend, in part over the Howard support of the war in Iraq. And yet, shockingly, as we've seen in this video, Mr. Rudd, in the back of the video, has on at least one occasion been seen nibbling on his own earwax, unless this was one of the great computer-generated graphics jobs of all time. Assuming it's not, Patton, the lesson is here is what? It's better to have a wax eater than a warmonger?
Well, maybe the lesson is even if you're eating the wax out of your own ears, you still know that the war is a mistake. I don't know. That's like the two girls, one glass of politics right now, and the guy still won. So it doesn't speak very well for Bush's popularity.
And lastly here, the Donald Rumsfeld doll is coming out just in time for Christmas with 28 classic utterances from the former defense secretary. Who's going to buy this?
You know what? I don't know who's not going to buy it. I can't think of anything more fun and festive than you know, phrases that led to young men and women being killed needlessly. It's a wonderful holiday gift.
For the entire family. Comedian Patton Oswalt, whose new album, Werewolves and Lollipops, is available in stores, or if you run into him on a train. Great, thanks. Good to talk to you, sir.